One, two, three, and.
Okay, sorry.
Ready?
Again.
Keep going
Three,
to.
four.
Woo!
Your turn.
Anyway,
Wow.
hi Israel.
Welcome.
Hi Dustin.
I'm so sorry
Hey
we sent
guys,
out an email so late, but hopefully you had it in your calendars.
always do.
Yeah.
Am I correct in thinking that's the Steely Dan song where
Yes.
the guitar player legendarily like did it in like one take, straight, like front to back?
I don't know if that's true or not. So um, the story that I heard was that Skunk Baxter was in the band as the lead guitar player, him and
Mhm.
Danny Diaz, and Skunk knew Elliot Randall somehow and really felt that he would just do a better solo. So
Yeah,
they brought him in to do this. He wasn't a member of the band, but they just brought him in to do to do the solo.
I
Wow.
And
remember. I just remember reading in some guitar magazine somewhere Jimmy Page saying that this Steely Dan solo, and I think it was Reelin' in the Years, is like his favorite solo of all time.
yeah, well,
And, and
it's definitely one of mine. That's
Oh,
for damn sure.
yeah, hands down. But
Yeah.
if I might be thinking of the wrong song, but if it's the same song, like the legend is that it just one take, top to bottom, done.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, I'll have to
It
look
might.
that up.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure. Terribly sure. I remember the first time I heard that.
I'm gonna look it up.
I had just gotten my driver's license, and I was taking my mom's 1969 Pontiac Catalina out for a spin, and
That's awesome.
she had an AM radio.
Ooh,
So I turned on. I think it was.
it says yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow.
Recorded in 1972.
Recording that. Yeah.
He played a Fender Stratocaster plugged directly into an Ampeg SVT amp.
That was an Ampeg SVT.
Hmm.
Wow. Wow.
It was including the intro, the fills, and the main solo.
Right.
All in
Wow.
just one run.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Wow.
Jeez. What if
Yeah.
they figured it out at home?
Who knows? But anyway, I just heard, for me, I just remember here like I just turned the radio on to some rock station, and that song came on, and I had to like literally pull over, just so I could,
Really?
yeah, like, you
You're just
know,
like,
it
what
just,
is this crazy song?
yeah, it just, what is this? Like, I've never
Yep.
heard anything like it. Oh my God,
Mhm.
you
I
know,
had
but the way
John.
it feels, the way it sounds.
It's pretty
John, I
cool.
had that same experience when I was younger, learning to drive stick shift in my 1991 Mustang or whatever it was. And
Nice.
my mom's trying to teach me how to drive stick shift, and the radio comes on, and it was the song December by Collective Soul,
Okay.
like early 90s rock. And my mind just like exploded. I'm like, please, please, please. People don't remember this, but like, you're thinking, please let the DJ tell me what band this is so I can go and buy the
Yeah.
CD.
Yeah, that's
And
exactly right.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
because you're like, what band is this? I've never heard this before. This is amazing. Just
Yeah.
you have that moment where it just hits you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and you know the funny
Awesome.
thing, you know, it's funny that you mentioned learning how to drive a stick. I learned how to drive a stick by driving a tow truck. You know, but actually, you know, it was one of those things where driving a tow, like the thing is about a tow truck is that first gear, like that your top speed is maybe 4 miles an hour. You know, with the thing,
Four.
yeah, like 4 miles an hour with the engine cranking because it's all torque. You know, so you know what that means is that clutch is going to be pretty forgiving.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Definitely not something where you want to get stuck like at a stoplight on a hill.
No,
You know?
no, definitely not.
No.
What's the most terrifying thing of driving a stick, in my
Yeah.
opinion?
Yep.
I always have to put the parking brake on and then go.
Yeah, I think the scariest moment for me was I had picked up a station wagon somewhere, and I was driving back to the station, and then I remember the direction that I was going was taking me, you know, the truck and the car I was towing behind over a wooden bridge, you know, and it was like so, and I was like already committed to it, you know, so and it was like a 2 lane road, so so turning around is not an option.
No.
So I just went for it. I mean, I got over it, but it was like there was a moment there when I was just like terrified. It's like, what am I gonna do, Ellen?
Just take it real slow.
Yeah, no, I did the opposite. I went as fast as I
Oh,
could.
really?
Yeah, because I figured that like if
If it starts to fall apart, you could outrace
yeah,
it.
at least I've got some momentum. You
It
know?
works for Indiana Jones.
So, okay, so I'm going to start here. Julie has a big gig coming up.
A big gig?
Well,
It's a
okay, it's a medium to big gig.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I'm just filling in for John. So I have to play, I have to try and be John Finn. In no static.
yeah, so on the 17th, I'm going on a trip to Tokyo to play to teach at a you know at a guitar school, to give a few clinics, and then play a concert, and then come back. So I'll be gone for about a week. And in the middle of that, the No Static Band has a gig on the 18th. So Julie's going to jump in instead. So it's great for them, bad for me because after she goes in and kicks ass and takes names, they're not going to want me anymore.
He thinks that.
Um,
No.
you know, but I've been hearing her rehearse through the whole thing, and she's going to do great. You're going to do great.
I just love the songs.
Yeah.
It's been a fun challenge.
And um, and also, so I just got back from St. Petersburg, Florida. I was down there to film a new course for TrueFire called Pentatonic Pathways, and
I think we may have talked about it.
yeah, we talked about it. I think that you know during the last meeting, and you know one of the things that all of this has sort of been leading me, you know, leading up to me thinking about for tonight was just the whole issue of preparation. You know, like what I want to know is what you like. How do you guys? You have a gig coming up. How do you approach preparing? I have things that I do. but I'm curious to know what like what you do, like what steps you take to prepare for a gig. One of the things that I think about sometimes is uh, if I'm if I really love the music, then I'll just spend whatever amount of time it takes to to get it done. However, if you're a professional musician, you can't do that with every single gig you take. Sometimes you just gotta
Can you
send it.
play next Tuesday?
Yeah, can you play next Tuesday? And you've got all these other things you got to take care of. So that's the other thing is how do you decide that? I mean, I know what I do, but so.
Are you going to tell everybody?
Well, maybe. So Julie, tell us a little bit about how you've been preparing for this gig.
Well, they told me to put together a list, and so I chose the ones that I already knew, and then the ones that I knew just from listening, and the ones I liked. So I put that all together, and then I just started cracking away. I chose the hardest ones first, the scariest ones, and then I tried to play the whole set every single day.
Okay.
Until then. It's not that long. It's like 15 songs.
So part of me is asking because when Julie and I first started dating, I went over to her apartment at the time, and she kind of goes, "I want to learn this Eric Johnson tune," and I didn't know her very well yet, and I knew she was a great player, but I didn't really know her, and I was thinking, oh, Eric Johnson, yeah, okay, good luck, because I've tried to learn some Eric Johnson stuff, and it's bit me in the butt quite a few times. So, long and short of it is like a couple of hours later, she's playing it.
I don't know if that was true.
No, well, no, it was.
There's the Venus Isle solo.
The Venus Isle
You guys
solo,
know
yeah.
Venus Isle? It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a little bit.
Yeah.
I may have been playing it slowly, not at tempo.
Well, okay, maybe it wasn't perfect enough to tempo quite yet, but you had it pretty well under control within a couple of hours.
Maybe.
And it was fascinating. It was fascinating to listen to somebody walk through that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know, for me personally, when I'm practicing, when I first attempt something that's brand new, what my first step is to ignore all the mind monsters, inside my head, because my internal language is absolutely convinced. It's like, I'm sorry, John, you're just not talented enough to play this music. This music is for the big people. So, and you're just not good enough yet. Keep practicing, and
I get those too.
yeah, and so my first stop is to just learn to just keep going despite all the internal language, and it never ceases to surprise me that but when I start getting to the end of it, I can actually play the piece of music that was really hard for me to learn, and I can do it, and I didn't think I could. So.
Well, I didn't think I should take this gig, but John was like, "No, you could do it. You can totally do it." I'm like, "But what about your gold teeth?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I have a transcription. You could do it." I was like, "Okay."
So so if you're familiar with the Your Gold Teeth solo, I didn't like. I learned this later that when they were auditioning for guitar players, that was one of the pieces they were using to audition different guitarists, and they told me to learn it, and I think when I auditioned for the way I auditioned actually was I just played a couple of gigs with them, and so when it came to that tune, I just kind of improvised my own solo the first couple of times out because I just didn't have enough time. I just didn't have enough time to really work it out yet, but I did later.
Mm-hmm. I remember hearing you learn it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why. I've
and
heard it so many times already.
Yeah, you've heard me play it about 100 billion times.
Mm-hmm.
So.
What about you guys?
Yeah. So Dustin, we'll start with you. If you have some music that you have to learn, what are the steps you take?
So that's actually a complicated question because I play in like I told you, this local band that we have, but it's actually far more improvisational. And I basically essentially just want to make sure that my hands are warmed up prior to playing, and then I tell them, "Give me the key," and I'm actually the joy of it is reacting to everybody else in the band. So
Okay.
there's not really any preparation that I can do for that. Um, when I'm putting together like a more complicated piece, like I've studied a bunch of John Petrucci stuff, a bunch of Steve Morris' stuff. Um, it's actually an interesting question because when I'm putting that together, I'm in that stuff. I'm going note by note, trying to go right off the transcriptions,
Sure.
and I always find maybe I can turn the question back around to you. I find that I can get it under my fingers, but I just have to do it a million times. And it's really getting it to tempo that always like holds me back from. That's really the challenge is like getting it fluid, getting it to tempo.
Yeah.
That's where the mind monsters come in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just keep it going. You keep going. John
Yep.
always says, trust the process.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I think, oh my God, I have to play this set. I was just learning all the songs recently. So I
Hmm.
was thinking, oh my God, thank God it's not Monday night that I have to play the set. I still
Yeah.
have some time, to get things
Absolutely.
down. But even by the 18th of March, it's not very long
Yeah.
to prepare. So I really do need the extra
No,
time.
absolutely not. And I'll also ask you guys like, what do you do when it comes to like I don't really use charts or anything like that. So for me, it's all memorization. Like in order to feel comfortable with the piece, I need to like know the chord progression, know the melody, like in my sleep. But I have to
Right.
do it a million times to get that,
Yeah.
into the old noggin. So, is there anything that you guys do like to more efficiently or more quickly, like memorize a tune, a chord progression, anything like that?
Well.
For me personally, I learned this solo for Jesse's Girl. You know
Hmm.
that?
Yeah, oh
And
yeah, absolutely. Who
there
doesn't
was
know
so
that?
many times that I absolutely butchered it. But then when I looked at it and tried to figure out, well, what's the chord progression? What is actually happening in the solo?
Hmm.
Then I was able to, if I got lost or messed up a part, I wasn't going to fall apart. Like if I had memorized it and that's all I was relying on, if
Sure.
you go off the rails, it's just going to be a train wreck.
What key is it in?
Right, because you can't get back to where you are.
I think there's something else.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Anyway, but once I figured out what was going on and there's little key parts, it made it a little bit easier to memorize and there wasn't so much pressure. I think with that kind of a solo, you have to play it note for note
Hmm.
because that's why people see cover bands.
Yeah, it's so iconic and it's so melodic that
Yeah,
you can't deviate that much. But you bring up a really good point. Like when you understand what's going on with the harmony and the rhythm behind
yeah,
it,
yeah,
you can if you find that you're a little lost in the solo, you can find your way back to it.
exactly.
It's a very good point, actually.
And you can improvise your way to the next part you remember. But that's
Exactly.
really the key is like knowing what's happening
Hmm.
for me anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of like telling the story of the three of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, right? Like there's a written way that that the story was written, but really to tell the story, you just gotta you gotta have a cabin in the woods. You need three bears who live in the woods.
You need
They get
porridge.
up in the morning. Goldilocks is out for a walk, and then Goldilocks comes up. So, however you get all those things together is how you tell that story. So that's another way to think of it. And one of and which kind of raises an interesting point. Um, when one of the things that I like to think about if I'm improvising on something, I do like doing a fair amount of preparation, even for improvisational things, because in our heads we always say it's like, well, I'm just going to show up and do whatever's there and just play whatever I feel, right? And I know for myself, if I do that, I'm going to be about as articulate as my drunken uncle at Thanksgiving when after he's had his 17th beer. I love you, man. I just love you. I just love you. You know, and it's like, and suddenly I'm not, you know, I'm not articulating anything that's really worth listening to. So even if I'm improvising,
You want to be prepared in it.
I want to have some idea of what I want the overall narrative to sound like, and that's why I like that story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, because there's a lot of ways to tell that story, and you can kind of find your own way through those elements. So if I'm improvising, that's the first question I always ask myself: is what story am I trying to tell? How do I know if I'm done? You know, and you know, and depending upon what the tune is like too.
That's right.
Yeah.
To your point about that, John, uh, I'll expand upon that just a little bit. I have a video that I can share with you guys at some point.
Love to see
You
it.
know, of me jamming with the band that I have here in the neighborhood. My friend Luke's playing the synths and everything, and I'm playing my 335.
Right.
Now, I don't know if you experience this, but if I'm playing my Petrucci, I want to shred. If I'm playing my 335, I want to play the blues, right?
Okay.
But the story that I'm telling in this improvised solo that I'm doing is, you know, sort of a blues rock type of solo, like
Sure.
something you hear on a Steely Dan record or something like that. And I thought of you guys when I had this moment. Like I went to play an arpeggio, and like I was one fret too low, so I was out of key. Right?
Right.
Played through it, then moved it up one fret, and now as I listen back to the recording, it sounds intentional. It sounds
Right.
there's a complete mistake, but just
Right.
by taking that and going up one fret and getting in key,
Playing
I
outside.
sound. I was like, oh yeah, I totally meant to do that. That was awesome.
Yeah. Love that.
I love when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'll have to send that to you guys.
Yeah. Israel, how about you? What steps do you do? So you do a lot of different types of gigs too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. It's different. Like you were just saying, it's different for each different kind of gig. I think for like a rock, well, regardless of the gig, I make a list, and then I am usually going through the songs, and I'll just put NW like needs work
Okay.
or AS all set.
Okay.
Or if it's like something that I can kind of improvise the solo, I'll put, you know, D minor, D minor blues on solo.
Okay.
Um, I've noticed that when I write down a chart, I can play it faster, but it takes me much longer to memorize. And if I learn it by memory, it takes me long. Oh, wait. Let me say that again. If I write it down, it takes me less time to play the song, but forever to memorize.
Yes.
And if I just learn it by ear, it takes me longer to learn it, but it's committed to memory, you know. So depending on how much time I have, usually I'll have to write stuff out um, as for another gig, or sometimes I'll get charts that are just like kind of lead sheet type
Right.
charts. Um, as far as solos, if I like the solo, I will learn it note for note, but know the key and know where I can fall back on if I mess up a part. And like just going back to Dustin, he was talking about Collective Soul. There's this one solo. I can't get this little part of it in gel, and my
Right.
band plays gel, so I just do a pentatonic kind of thing over that this weird lick at the end of the guitar solo that I'm sure Dustin has heard a million
Oh,
times if he likes.
a million times, Israel. Those first four records with Ross
Mhm.
Childress on the guitar. Good luck trying to copy that guy.
Yeah.
Listen to that solo on Heavy. It's just
Mhm.
tremolo picking, but with the effects
Yeah.
he puts on it. Yeah, good luck trying to copy that. So
Yeah.
you just do like trust me. I played that solo the gel solo a million times,
Yeah.
and I know exactly the lick you're talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly the lick. You just
Um,
come up with your own variation upon it.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. That's what I should do. I would just go pentatonic, but I should probably learn like a simplified version that's almost it that you might notice was not it, but everybody else would be like, "Oh, he nailed that solo." And when I'm getting those solos down, and I'm sure Dustin, as a metal guy, you might associate, or you, all of you guys probably, if it doesn't work with starting with a down pick, I just try it starting with an up pick. And sometimes that instantly fixes everything
Oh, yeah.
because of the way that everything kind of falls as
Yeah,
far as when you're switching strings and what's an up pick and which
actually,
strings you're crossing to.
Israel. One of the things that I read when I was like, studying guitar in college, one of the things I read from Steve Morse, or it might have been Steve Morse or John Petrucci, but one of the things was like, the advice was that he learn a passage starting with a down pick,
Mhm.
then relearn it starting with an up pick,
Mm.
because that way, if he got screwed up in the middle of a performance, you have that physical capacity to do it both ways, and you can
Yeah.
immediately slip into that. That's a really good. That's really good practice. What you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome, man.
Love it.
yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I mean,
Um,
go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish what you're gonna say.
Musical theater. I like to write in the chord diagrams so that I can play it the same way every time because I'm not as good of a reader in the upper positions. For some strange, oh, yeah, partially from you talking about it last time, I started working through West Side Story just so that so next time I'm asked to do it, I'll be like, oh, yeah, yeah, I can play that show. You know what I mean? Like, it's just going to be something I'm picking away at without having the gig looming over my head
Yes,
because it's just so cool.
it's yeah,
Also,
it is an amazing show. That there's a couple of tunes in there that are just insanity on guitar.
Mhm.
Mhm,
I swear the orchestrator had a vendetta
mhm.
on the guitar player. Like, like the guitar player owed the orchestrator some money and didn't come through or something.
So he's
And the
like, I
orchestrator
will
was like,
punish
oh,
you.
yeah. So, but how are you making out with that? Are you finding it out?
I can play a lot of the parts of the first two tunes, and
Okay.
then the third tune, what was it, the Jets song? That is where I am now on the
Yeah.
Jets, the Jets song. And you taught me a long time ago that every song is like in the first tune, so you don't have to work too hard on the first tune because you're
Yeah.
gonna learn everything as you play through
Yeah.
the whole show that's in the first tune anyways.
Yeah, that's true. Or you could learn just learn the first tune, and that's the whole gig.
Yeah.
There's some crazy, yeah. There's some really cool guitar part. They were, I don't know. It's so difficult. I don't know. I don't know if you know of a show that's more difficult on guitar than that show. I don't know if one
No,
exists.
no. Like I said, I told you the story. Like when I got asked to do it, I almost called them and said, "I'm sorry, it's too hard. I'm not going to be able to do it." And then
Wow.
what stopped me was realizing that I was going to be putting somebody in the position where they would have to learn that show in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So I couldn't. I just decided to follow through with it because I just couldn't do that to anybody. You
Aw.
know.
Mhm. Yeah, so I never played musical theater years ago, early 2000s. And the first show I was asked to play was West Side Story. And I'm like, yeah, I should be able to do that. And then I didn't play again for like 10 years because I thought they were all that difficult.
Right. Oh
Oh.
You know,
God.
I thought they were all going to be like, I was like, I'm not good enough to do this,
Oh
you
God.
know.
But
And then the second time I got asked to it, I said yes. And then like a month later, I'm like, yeah, I'm
yeah.
all set with this after having played a bunch
Right.
of shows. So.
Right.
So that's like it's like my marathon. Let's kind of, you know what I mean? It's like what I got to do next to feel, and I feel like you play something that difficult, and then it makes everything else a little bit easier.
Yeah.
You have like you have a new plateau or a new peak or something. You know, it changes,
Well, it's like,
and
Lost.
half of it's in your head, anyways. You know.
yeah, it's
I think you're trying to do a John Finn gig
oh, stop it.
right now, but it's good for me. It really is.
So good question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, of
yeah.
course.
That's a great question to
Yeah.
bring up.
Alan, what about you? And actually, this is a two-part question for you. What do you do? And then the second part is what do you tell your students?
Man, you gotta make it tough, don't you?
Sorry.
um, I don't know. For me, I, I just like everybody else, I gotta play through things a lot of times to really get the muscle memory to kick in. It's really kind of funny, and I don't know. I've had this ability since I was young to look at a piece of music, play it the first time, and it's basically memorized.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that it's under my hands. It just means it's here and I know what to do.
So intellectually, you intellectually understand what should come next,
I I
and
guess
that's
that
not
would
the
be
same as being able to have it under your hands.
yeah. I mean, you might. I guess you could say it that way. I don't know. The word intellectual and me together. I don't know that they jive. But you know, at the same. But it's kind of like I have this like it's almost like a photographic memory. So if I look at the sheet music, I could see it,
Nice.
and
Okay.
the and so that's kind of cool because then when I'm sitting there working about it, sometimes like even driving or whatever, I think about it, you know, especially like where I've got to do my drive from Kentucky to Nashville on weekends or 3.5 hours. What am I going to do? I'm going to think about it, you know, think about music. But I do have to play it. I feel like I got to play it a lot until I get it under my hands. And again, it depends on the gig. Like I've got a friend of mine who will call me up every now and then and ask me to sit in with his band to cover for his guitarist if I'm back in Kentucky, and 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 he's done this thing to me, and I love the guy, but I'd like to choke him out when he does this. But he'll give me the set list like a day before or 2 days before at the most, and it's
Or 20
30
minutes
tunes.
before. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's 30 tunes, and it's like some of them I may have played before, some of them I don't. And he sometimes he has charts, sometimes he doesn't. The charts aren't always great, but I'll load them on and I'll just listen to the tunes because that's about all I have a chance to do with. I may if there's like key parts in them, I'll try to learn that. Sometimes that really backfires on me. I know we were playing oh gosh, why can't I think of the guy who did it originally? But the tune "Drift Away."
Mhm, mhm.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah, people, leave my soul. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and so we were playing it, and they wanted that whole guitar intro, which I think is in the key of E, if I remember correctly. But I learned it, and we went to the gig that night. I learned it that day, and I thought, oh, I've got this. And we got in there, and the keyboard player's like, well, I can cover this if you don't have that opening. I said, no, I think I got it. Yeah, I started at a half step off, and then I kept trying to get back in, and it went somewhere else. And I mean, it was actually became a very funny moment overall. And I told the guys, I said, well, the tune's called "Drift Away," and I thought I would drift as far away from the key center as I could.
Yeah. So mission
But
accomplished. Yeah, it did
yeah,
work.
mission accomplished. It was there. But yeah, I played through it a lot, and it just depends. Here lately, when I'm prepping for a gig like I guess it was 2 nights ago, Saturday night, I played Rudy's jazz room down in Nashville, and
Okay.
it was all jazz set because really, and most of it was my originals, which is sad that I'm having
Wow.
to. Yeah, I was very fortunate. The pianist that was playing with me, he's a colleague of mine over at Belmont. Fabulous jazz pianist, Bruce Dudley. His name's Bruce Dudley, and he is just scary. He's just that good, and I just love playing with Bruce. And anyway, he I asked him to record the album with me this summer, and he said, "Well, let's go try him live." So he set us up with the gig at Rudy's, and we were doing those, and then we did a couple of his originals, and then we just did a couple standards. And I actually had to prep for that gig not only on the other tunes, but on my tunes, which is really, I don't know. I find that kind of weird sometimes. It's like I write the tune, but I got to go really practice my tune to get it where I want. I guess we probably all
Well,
do
yeah.
that. But and I don't know. It just sometimes, and I have to play them different ways. Like one of his tunes, which was it was really just a jazz blues, and mimicked after Charlie Parker's. He called it, matter of fact, I forget, bird sounds, and it had all these Parker isms in it, if you will. But
Right.
for me to find some of those lines, learning his tune and the way he wrote it, and he did put a little twist in for the changes. Um, I don't know. It took me forever. It felt like, and fortunately, so much of that music, when it comes to solos, it's all improvised. So it's like I'm okay as long as I just keep with the form most of the time.
Right.
But you know, and how depending on how crazy the changes are. But yeah, so I play through them a lot, and I have to find. I think it may have been Dustin was talking about playing. If I could find a line to play at one position, I'll take it the other direction. I'll just see what I could do. And so like you asked the second part of the question, what do I tell my students? And that's one of those things I do tell my students quite a bit is like when they're learning something, I'll start them on a note, whatever it is, and maybe it's got like an E minor arpeggio in it, E minor seven, and they'll play it that way, and I'll say, great, you can play it this way, now play it this way, and now play it this way, and see which direction you can go, starting with the index finger, starting with the pinky, starting with the middle finger,
Okay.
and see how many different ways you could play that line. Um,
Love that.
and I teach them that not only to learn the chart, just because that may present an easier place to play part of the head, but I teach it that way because of improvisational things, because I like to see if I go this direction, what have I got? What's my answer for the next question that comes up with the chord change or something?
Right.
And so
It'll take you in a different.
yeah, it's going to take me in a different thought, because if I play like this, if I play even straight up, it's going to lead me somewhere else that I might play. Whereas if I do this direction,
Yeah.
it might take me that way. Well, I'm just rambling, but that kind of thing. And so I have them do that, and of course they have to play it. They have to play the tune over and over again. It just depends, and unfortunately, maybe your students are the same way. As far as charts that they're learning, when I'm trying to help them, I think that's another thing that's helped me get better at preparing charts too, is because I've got so many students, and everybody's for the most part playing something different.
Yeah.
Right.
And most of my, like a student, typically I'll assign them at least 4 charts, maybe 5 charts in a semester. If they're a really good player, we may read through like 10 charts, just depending. Like mainly my jazz guys will read through 10 charts, because I'll just pull charts from all over the place.
Yeah.
But
So do you ever have them write their own charts?
I do. Yeah, sometimes I do. I have them rearrange it, mainly because I'll have them go in and they'll rewrite at a minimum. They'll rewrite the chord changes with substitute chords, or I'll make them do a reharm of it, to try to make it interesting. Because if we're talking about a topic like that,
Yeah.
and then like for my ensemble, most of the time I don't have charts for them, and they have to go chart them themselves. If we're
Yeah.
fortunate, this semester for the most part, I've got charts for everything, and uh, and so I think that's helped me get better at preparing charts, because I'm reading so much all the time. So it really comes into a reading factor too, because I'm reading so many charts in the lessons, and then I'm learning all the charts to an extent for the
Yeah.
ensemble. And ensemble's kicking my butt this semester, because we just had Greg Howe and Stu Ham here 3 or 4 weeks ago, and so we had to learn all of Greg and Stu's tunes,
All right.
and now we're moving on to our next guest artist, which it's Frank Gabali, and Frank Gabali's coming in at the end of the semester, and so now I'm teaching all this Frank Gabali technique and Frank Gabali tunes, and yeah, it's keeping me flustered learning the tunes. So this is a great topic tonight.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Talk about growing ourselves.
Yeah.
We're always seeking to get
I felt like throwing myself off the 3rd floor of my where my office is, but I know I'd only break an arm or a leg, and I'd still be around to deal with the grief. So
Yeah,
it
well,
wasn't.
Alan, by the end of the semester, your sweet picking's never going to be any better, right?
for sure.
That or it'll just suck so bad that if Frank sees me do, I'll let Frank judge my students, not me.
You know, I went to a Frank Gambale clinic once, and this was after he had this video that he made with, I think, REH Video, where he was
Oh, I
he was
love those videos.
where he was talking about how he puts together his economy picking technique. And he lays it out beautifully. It's like, do this, then do this, then do this, then do this, then do this, right? So I started practicing all this stuff, and I remember one of the things that he had, that he had, one example was an A Dorian scale, but the way he had it set up was 3 notes every string except for the highest string. It was only 2 notes. So 3 notes. And then a chromatic note at the bottom to turn it around again. So all that was to set up the economy picking so you could play down up down 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 up. And the thing is, it's like, no matter how much I practice it. So anyway, so I went to the clinic, and and I said, Frank, man, I love your playing. Thank you very much. I've learned so much from the videos that you've done. I'm a big fan of your playing, and I've been practicing your technique, and I can't do it. I just can't do it. And it's not for lack of trying. So the question he asked, he said, well, how long have you been at it? I said, well, 2 years. And he goes, yeah, it took me about 10 years.
Wow.
Before I was even close to being able to play it in the pocket, because my main complaint was I could play it fast, but I couldn't play it fast with a pocket. Do you know what I mean? Like, alternate picking seemed to be much easier for me to maintain the pocket. Yeah. And that was what he was saying, was you just didn't give it enough time. And he was totally 100% right about that.
But you kept going.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy thing, and I'll be honest, I've been working that technique myself on and off since 1991. So I was already working it before I came to Berkeley and studied with you and the other guys. But at that time, alternate picking was easier. I don't alternate pick anything anymore. I use. But I had to, I guess, for a lack of a better term, kind of bastardize his technique, because I combine that with a lot of my legato technique.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean and I teach it to my students, same way that you are just described it, because it's always odds and evens, and the evens always turn it around. So groups of 2s and groups of 4s, and so we teach that. The one I can never really come to terms with was his pentatonic thing, where he puts 3 notes, 1 note, 3 note, 1 note. Yeah. That I found a little bit more difficult to do. I do some of it, but not enough to do it. But the thing I did do with the pentatonics, though, that I'm teaching my students right now, because they're using it to at least emulate some of his technique, because Frank does all this stuff where it's not even just always like arpeggiated sweeps, or he'll do power chord sweeps where he'll just that kind of thing, with just and so getting that kind of thing is tough. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy stuff. Yeah, but I teach them to do like this one thing. I'm sorry, I think I veered us off a little bit, but where I'll take just a standard pentatonic box, and they'll have to do like fourth kind of exercises, where they'll go down, down, up, up, that kind of thing, and then at the same time they'll see it and really kind of go into what you always taught me back in the day, was your pentatonic sequence things, right? You're doing the 2-string group kind of thing, but they'll do but they'll make it sound more open by doing those fourths and open, that kind of thing. Playing it like
that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Because I just think, and I started doing that more on the fusion side of the house, and really with my arch top, putting like a Pog 2 on, just getting kind of Kurt Rosenwinkel kind of thing, right? It was just one of
Right.
those things. But now that just that kind of thinking became a lot of my playing, and then or doing things with triplets, right?
Right. Right.
But that was sloppy, is it? Whatever. But that kind of idea, and also just doing pentatonics like arpeggios.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So again, anyway, I veered off topic, but I even found, though, to be quite honest with you, depending on the music I'm playing, and since I'm really playing more of that kind of music that demands that stuff, that actually helps me prepare the tunes better. Just because I like going in with working on Frank's tunes, I knew all of them already, most of them.
Right.
There was a couple of them that were just a little out there that I hadn't worked with, but me to prepare myself to help the student prepare, knowing the technique and everything. I think a lot of times, like if you're doing a Petrucci tune, right, Dustin, if you're doing that, just knowing what is going to be demanded of you is going to help you prepare more. If you're doing a musical,
Yeah.
like I would fall on my face with a musical because I don't play musicals. I've done like 5 musicals in my life, and I swore I would never do another one again. And one of my colleagues, he called me up the other day, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to be out on town on tour. Can you cover this musical for me?" And I'm like, "No." And not only
Right.
no, but put a couple of explicitives in front of it, because no, I won't do it, because I'll fall
Yeah.
flat on my face. I'm not going to do
And
it.
those 2 letters, N and O, turn out to be very, very, very important because I think I think I've done my I think I've done my, not damage really, but like I the I've had a number of gigs that I just should not have taken because I just didn't have the time to do it. Not I didn't have the time to really honor the music the way the
Prepare.
music deserved to be honored, you know. So that's something these days I'm trying to be a lot more careful about that.
Well, on the gigs that you all play, any of you, it's like, again, becoming so familiar with tunes. Like I know since I'm doing so many more jazz gigs now, and actually I'm just kind of veering that way. I don't know why. Maybe I realize that I suck as a rock player anymore, or maybe I'm just I don't know. I think I feel old
No,
sometimes.
it's jazz is what rock is trying to be. And now you're growing up enough to, or jazz is what the grown-up rockers do.
Well, I still don't think I'm grown up, but that's okay. I'll take that.
Well, you know
Uh,
the old, the old joke, mommy, I want to be a rock star when I grow up. Now, Johnny, you can't do both.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, but I think I don't know. I guess what I was going to ask you is like for your sets, I have very, I guess what you say, I have a list of tunes that typically show up on my set, especially my
Yeah.
jazz sets.
Yep.
And, those that I've played for years, like one of the tunes for me that I fell in love with that I rarely get people to play with me. We actually played it the other night, is a tune called Inner Urge by Joe Henderson.
I know
And
of it. I don't know if I've ever played it.
yeah, I mean, the head's kind of crazy, and maybe that's why nobody ever wants to play it with me. And the changes, the changes, I don't think the changes are bad because everything except for the opening chord. The opening chord is a minor 7 flat 5 with a natural 9.
Yep.
But everything after that is all major 7, sharp 11 kind of chords. But the problem is the bridge section happens really fast where you get 4 beats, 4 beats, 4 beats, 4 beats, moving. And it just keeps moving down, and it's really fast. But anyway, going back to these techniques, that tune, I've played it now probably for 10 years. And it's one of my favorite to throw in the set. And I think I'm just now comfortable with it that if I had to play it with anybody, I don't care where it would be just, I'd be like, okay, that's golden. I got that.
Yeah.
But I use all my rock tricks.
Nice.
Like I use so many substitute pentatonic scales for everything that it's not even funny.
Once showed me some.
Yeah. So that's that's a thing, and for me, learning how to play changes, that like is working on those alternate pentatonic kind of things over dominant 7th chords was sort of a keystone moment for me, because I started to be able to kind of play my tired old rock licks in a way that actually seemed to work over the chord, and which made it make sense more.
Yeah.
And when it started to make sense in a musical and phrasey kind of way, it got me away from just playing the correct scale. You know, I had an experience when I was a student at Berkeley. I was in, I think, a level 6 or 7 ensemble, and the teacher brings in this chart that was just hard for the sake of being hard, like difficult changes. It might have been a John Coltrane tune, but it wasn't Giant Steps. It was something else, but it was every bit as hard as Giant Steps. And you know, there's a million 2/5s, and it's changing keys every 3 beats, or
wow.
something really just completely completely nuts.
240 tempo.
So, and I had been working on my chord scales and theory pretty hard, and I had gotten to the point where I could look at a chord progression and pretty quickly identify what scales are going to work with what chord sequence. So, you know, we play through it. We start improvising. When it's my turn, I improvise through it. I was playing all the correct scales, and you know, in all the correct keys, and kind of doing everything right. And I remember the teacher looked at me and he was like, "Yeah, good." You know.
I can see what you're kind of trying to do.
So I mean, it sort of felt like golf claps, if that makes sense, and that frustrated me enormously. Yeah, exactly. So. I was so frustrated by that I took the music and turned it over so I couldn't see the chord changes, and then I waited for for it to become my turn again to take another solo. At that time, when I started soloing, I had absolutely no idea what chord was happening at any given moment. I was just kind of playing phrases, and as you might guess, my right note wrong note ratio was pretty heavily tilted. 70% wrong notes, 30% accidentally correct ones. But my phrasing was much stronger because I was thinking only about phrasing. And I remember the teacher turned around to me, he's like, yeah, do that. And it was like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like, oh, okay, that's what's next. I need to be able to, do all the mechanics of all the complex chord changes and all that stuff. But really what I need to do is I need to be able to do that in a way where I'm not even thinking about what keys and what chord changes and what scales. Like that portion of it should be pretty much automatic, so that I'm only thinking about what phrase.
Yeah.
And that just set me on a completely different path.
You know, it's interesting you said that, because I think, I don't know, it reminds me of that Scott Henderson video. So when you mentioned REH, do you remember
Yeah.
Scott Henderson's video, melodic phrasing or something like that? I don't remember what it was, but there's a segment of it where he's talking about how anything you play in time, you can make it sound good if you're in time and the feel is right and the groove is right.
That's
And I do, and that stuck with me so much, that I use that as an example in my improv class all the time, to where I'll go in and I'll do something stupid, and half of them look at me like I've lost my mind. And I'm like, well, tell me what tune I'm playing, and I'll just do this. And they're like,
Right.
I'm like, well, what did I just play? And they're going, a really bad version of Mary Had a Little Lamb. I said, yeah, but you recognized it.
Yes.
Alan, to that point, a friend of mine, Jim Weeder, who used to play with the band, he has a song called Black Power, and I told him the first time I heard the song, and you should go check it out if you haven't heard it. It's just this awesome, groovy song, but his rhythm section is just absolutely killing it, right? And I basically said to him, with that rhythm section behind you, with like that kind of groove, you could just stumble over it. anything that you play over
Anything
that,
you do is
it's
going to
going
sound
to
good because the groove is so strong. That's right. Okay.
exactly like anything, any melody, any chord progression is going to sound beautiful over that. You are 100% right in what you're saying, man.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's just cool because, and funny, John, when you said that about that, your director telling you that, I have to laugh just because I'm that guy now. Because I'll tell my kids that, in whether it's improv class or in my ensemble, I'm like, just find a way to phrase. You know how
Right.
the tune feels, phrase. And I said, I don't really care what note you play, just phrase. And sometimes, again, the ratio of wrong to right is off kilter a bit, but because of the phrasing, it just makes a world of difference. And again, I'll just go back your pentatonic method. When you showed that to me the first time that you showed me that, uh, I guess it was 2 or 3 years before you actually published the book on it, and you showed that to me. It changed my life with the pentatonics because I still think about that, and and that helps me more with my phrasing when I've got to do that stuff. So if I'm sitting on a jazz bandstand, I can fake it till I make it sometimes between pentatonics and phrasing.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you can take, you can take, I could play a B minor pentatonic flat one and play it over a C9 chord, right? But then I can play the Stairway to Heaven solo, right? Right? And you can hear the phrasing, but it doesn't sound like Stairway to Heaven anymore because of the way it's working against that chord. And you're right. For me, that completely changed.
It's a whole other thing.
Well, I mean, being
Jazz
able to think
lunacy.
like that, yeah, I think it just simplifies everything back into a vocabulary that we as guitarists can have more control over sometimes. And
Yeah.
and I don't find any shame in it. Matter of fact, I find great joy in sharing that information with my students because
Yeah.
it's like, if you could step up your game and you go, like if you go into your ensemble and you're presented a set of changes and you know how to wield these, you might even sound cooler than the sax player that's sitting across from you over there if you play your cards right. And I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I've worked with some monster. Yeah, I know what I know what you're saying. I'm happy with not getting yelled at.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that I find, and I know for me, this is my downfall. Anytime I've done for that, go for the changes. Yeah, I can look at any kind of sheet and say, okay, here's the chord scale, blah 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 blah. But
Right,
when we're doing it and we're thinking full blown scales, we tend to dive for the root. We try to we play
right.
a scale. We aren't creative, and so I try to trick my mind into doing substitute. Oh, here's A minor seven as a Dorian scale, Dorian chord.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'll play C Lydian, or I'll try to think like that. But I still
Yeah.
fail myself more than if I see A minor seven, I'll play E minor pentatonic. You
Yeah.
know,
Exactly. Start anywhere other than the root.
anywhere other than the
Yeah.
root.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let me see. Uh,
Oh, the date.
yeah. Let's have a look. Okay. So we're March 2nd right now, which is going to put us it looks like the first Monday in April is going to be April 6th.
You have a gig coming up. You'll have the,
Yeah. Although
Stardew
that's
Valley?
Easter Monday of that. Yeah.
oh,
That's April 10th, I think.
oh yeah, the 27th is the Stonehill recital. Oh my gosh, this semester's coming up fast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, all
yeah.
right. Yeah, that's fine. April 6th.
Okay, so I'm going to just gently encourage everybody here and anybody that's interested in doing, play something for next time. It doesn't matter what it is. Play something. You know, as I call upon you, and I'll play something too.
All right.
Or you'll play, or
Can I play Steely Dan too?
you can play a Steely Dan tune.
Just kidding.
April 6th, correct?
Huh?
Correct?
April 6th.
April
Next
6th.
Monday, yeah, that'll be the next one.
I'll make sure to send out a message
Yeah.
earlier than I did today. We were all planning to do it, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I never sent the email.
Yeah. That's
I've
all,
been
yeah.
a little busy.
These last couple of weeks for me have been kind of a marathon
We had a
run.
blizzard.
Yeah, we had a blizzard, and then I had that. I was preparing for the chorus.
Yeah,
and,
you were doing the chorus.
yeah. Ugh.
I saw you digging out on Facebook, digging out of the snow, man. That was crazy.
We got 33 inches.
We got 30. So we actually got more snow this time than we did in the blizzard of 1978.
That's crazy. Well, I remember that one time in 1990, was it 6 or 7 on April the
Six.
1st?
Yep.
Yeah. Because I remember leaving campus that day, and by the time I got out to Ashland, Natick area,
Yeah.
we had, I mean, it was stupid. And then I think we had like 34, 36 inches out there.
Really? Was it that much? I
It-
know it was
it-
a lot.
It was a lot out there because I remember digging my car out with a McDonald's tray.
Oh
Wow.
my goodness.
Wow. Wow.
Well, that was after I dug out somebody else's car because I thought it was my car.
Oh, I hate that.
Oh.
Yeah, been
I
there.
used to use CDs to scratch off the ice back in the day.
Yeah, especially ones you don't like.
I was going to say, make sure it's somebody you don't really listen to a lot, right?
Just the case, not the actual CD.
Yeah.
It's like, what is this? Britney Spears CD.
That's awesome. Well, great hanging with you guys.
Thanks
Thank
so
you very
for
much.
hanging in.
Thank you. You give me a lot to think about.
You make our guitar lives
Yeah.
so full.
John, when's your video going to be released through 2.5?
I actually don't know. It'll probably take them a couple of months to sort of finish all the editing. Because basically what we do is, I go in there for 2 days, just talk and play incessantly, and and then sort of retake anything that I screw up, which in this case there was a lot. So they now have to go through, I believe something like 12 hours of footage, and try to output something that makes sense. I did prepare a lot for it, but like filming one of those is just it's like a marathon brain dump. It's amazing how they do it.
Amazing.
So I think a couple of months probably.
Okay. Did you? How about your album, your new works that you all are
So
working on?
after I get back from Japan, I'm going to finish mixing and then we're going to release.
Yeah.
So
so
yeah,
close.
I gotta get through the Japan trip and then I'm gonna go back to work on it. So this spring probably, hopefully. That's what I'm shooting for. But I'm really excited about it. Like so many of the tracks are really sounding amazing. Juli plays some killing stuff on this record. I can't wait for you guys to hear it.
They're fun songs.
Yeah, cool. All right, we will see you March 6th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Actually, it'll be Eastern Daylight Savings.
It'll be Daylight Savings. Okay, Eastern
Oh.
Daylight Time.
Arigato gozaimasu.
All right, sayonara. Okay, I'll see you.